I couldn't sleep the night before our trip. Not from excitement, from this gnawing feeling in my gut that something wasn't right. I ignored it, like I always do when my anxiety flares. Because that's what good friends do, right? They trust. The airport buzzed with early morning chaos as I juggled my carry-on and the group's itinerary I'd spent weeks perfecting. My phone pinged with Cecilia's message. Running late. Save us spots in the security line. I smiled, scrolling through our group chat where everyone had been gushing about our girls' trip to Barcelona for months. 5 best friends since college, our first international vacation together. And I'd been the one to make it happen. Researching hotels, finding flight deals, creating spreadsheets of must-see attractions. Lucia! I turned to see Paisley rushing toward me, her blonde hair bouncing with each step. She threw her arms around me, smelling of expensive perfume and coffee. God, I can't believe we're actually doing this. She squeezed my shoulders. Cecilia and the others are parking. They sent me ahead to find you. Relief washed over me. That knot in my stomach? Just regular travel anxiety. I've got our boarding passes ready, I said, pulling out my phone. And I exchanged some euros yesterday, enough to split between us until we find an ATM in Barcelona. Paisley's smile flickered for just a second. You're always so prepared. What would we do without you? The security line moved quickly. I kept glancing back toward the entrance, checking my phone. They're cutting it close, I muttered, checking the time. Paisley shrugged. You know Cecilia. She's probably making Morgan carry all her bags. I laughed, but that feeling returned, sharper now. Should I call them? Our boarding starts in 40 minutes. I'll text, Paisley said, typing rapidly. She frowned at her screen. Service is spotty in here. By the time we cleared security, my chest felt tight. 30 minutes to boarding and still no sign of the others. Something's wrong, I said, dialing Cecilia's number. Straight to voicemail. Same with Morgan's and Krista's. Paisley touched my arm. Hey, I need to use the bathroom. Watch my stuff? I nodded, still staring at my phone. 25 minutes to boarding. I sent another group message. Where are you guys? About to board. 15 minutes later, Paisley hadn't returned. I called her phone. No answer. I gathered our bags and hurried to the bathroom, pushing open the door. Paisley? Empty stalls greeted me. 10 minutes to boarding. My hands shook as I called each friend again. Nothing. I rushed to our gate, dragging both my bag and Paisley's, telling myself there was an explanation. Traffic, a car problem, anything. Final boarding call for flight 14222 to Barcelona. I stood frozen at the gate, 5 boarding passes in my hand. The flight attendant gave me a sympathetic look. Miss, are you boarding? My voice came out small. I'm waiting for my friends. I'm sorry, but we're closing the doors. You need to board now or miss the flight. I boarded alone, numb. Paisley's abandoned bag now checked with the gate agent. The empty seats beside me screamed louder than any explanation could. I kept checking my phone, willing it to light up with an apology, an emergency, anything. 3 hours into the flight, I finally got signal through the plane's Wi-Fi. My phone exploded with notifications. Not from my friends, but from Instagram. With trembling fingers, I opened the app. There they were, all 4 of them, Cecilia, Paisley, Morgan, and Krista, posing in first-class seats, champagne flutes raised in a toast, on a different airline. The caption read, Barcelona bound, upgrade life, / squad goals, / first class only. My stomach dropped as I scrolled through more posts. Them at a gate lounge I didn't recognize. Them boarding a luxury airline. All posted just minutes after Paisley had left me at security. I zoomed in on Cecilia's smiling face, her perfectly manicured hand clutching a boarding pass, a first-class ticket purchased with my credit card number. The realization hit me like a physical blow. They had never intended to fly with me. Paisley had only come to make sure I boarded my flight, alone, while they took off on a better one, with my money. My hands shook so badly, I dropped my phone. The elderly woman next to me glanced over with concern. Are you all right, dear? I couldn't answer. How could I explain that my 4 best friends had just abandoned me, stolen from me, and were now flaunting it on social media? Another notification. A video this time? The 4 of them clinking glasses in what looked like a luxurious airport lounge. To Lucia, Cecilia said, her red lips curving into a smile that never reached her eyes. Thanks for funding our upgrade. Enjoy economy. Their laughter cut through me like glass as the video ended. I turned my phone off and stared out the window at endless clouds. a single thought crystallizing through my shock and pain. This wasn't just a prank or a misunderstanding. This was premeditated betrayal, and I was flying straight toward whatever else they had planned for me. The Barcelona airport swallowed me whole. I stumbled through customs in a daze, my mind replaying that video on endless loop, their laughter, Cecilia's toast, the casual cruelty of it all. I'd spent the remainder of the flight alternating between numbness and nausea. Now, standing alone at baggage claim, reality crashed down. Not only had they abandoned me, they'd stolen from me. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and opened my banking app. No, no, no. 4 separate charges from Luxury Airways. First-class tickets to Barcelona, $3,042 each. Over $15,000 charged to my credit card. My emergency fund decimated. A sob caught in my throat. I'd given Cecilia my card information to book our group rate tickets weeks ago. I never imagined she'd use it for this. My phone pinged with a hotel notification. We look forward to your stay at Hotel Marisol. The hotel. The one I'd booked for all of us, with the 2 adjoining suites and ocean view. Another $4,000 I couldn't get back due to the non-refundable rate. I called the credit card company immediately, my voice breaking as I explained the fraud. The representative's sympathy only made it worse. I'm sorry, Ms. Reyes, but since you previously authorized this person to use your card information for travel arrangements, this will be difficult to dispute. We can start the process, but I should warn you. I hung up. What was the point? Outside the airport, Barcelona's beauty felt like a slap. Sunshine, palm trees, the distant shimmer of the Mediterranean. All of it mocked me. This was supposed to be our dream vacation. 5 days of sightseeing, beach lounging, and tapas with my closest friends. Friends. The word tasted bitter now. I hailed a taxi, giving the driver the address of the cheapest hostel I could find on short notice. My original hotel was out of the question. I couldn't risk running into them. The hostel was exactly what you'd expect for €20 a night. A narrow bed in a room shared with 7 strangers, a bathroom down the hall, and walls thin enough to hear conversations in 3 different languages. I sat on the edge of the squeaking mattress, my suitcase still packed at my feet. I should go home, book the next flight back, and cut my losses. But something hot and unfamiliar burned in my chest. Not just hurt, rage. Pure, clarifying rage. My phone pinged again. An Instagram notification? My finger hovered over it, knowing it would hurt to look. I clicked anyway. A new post from Krista, the 4 of them lounging by a rooftop pool. My hotel. My reservation. The caption, living our best lives while someone else pays the bills. Blessed. Comments flooded in from mutual friends. OMG, you guys look amazing. So jealous? Where's Lucia? To that last one, Cecilia had replied, she flaked last minute. Typical Lucia, always unreliable. The phone slipped from my fingers. Unreliable? I was the one who planned everything, who made sure everyone had their passport renewals in time, who created a shared document with packing lists and emergency contacts. I grabbed my phone again and started typing a comment, fingers flying with fury, then stopped, deleted it. No. This required something more than an angry comment. I opened my email and found the hotel confirmation. With trembling fingers, I called the Hotel Marisol. Hello, this is Lucia Reyes. I'm checking on my reservation. I forced my voice to stay steady. 2 adjoining suites under my name. Yes, Ms. Reyes. Your friends have already checked in using the authorization you provided. Is there a problem? I swallowed hard. No problem. I just wanted to confirm something. The reservation was made with my credit card, correct? Yes, and we have it on file for incidentals as well. Incidentals? My heart raced. What does that cover exactly? Room service, spa treatments, restaurant charges, minibar, anything charged to the room. I ended the call and sat in the dim hostel room, a plan forming. They thought they could use me, humiliate me, and steal from me? Fine. Let them run up the bill. Let them order champagne and spa treatments. Because I wasn't going home. Not yet. I pulled out my laptop and began researching. Spanish laws on credit card fraud, hotel policies, social media timestamps. With each piece of information, my focus sharpened. A notification from my banking app interrupted me. Another charge from the hotel. Restaurant bill, $580. I laughed. A hollow sound in the empty room. They weren't even trying to hide it. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello? Is this Lucia? A man's voice, accented but clear. Who's asking? My name is Jackson. I work at Hotel Marisol. He paused. I think you should know what your friends are saying about you. I sat up straight. What do you mean? They're telling everyone you're mentally unstable, that you threatened them before the trip, that they had to escape you. His voice lowered. They're setting you up for something, and I don't think it's just about a free vacation. The room seemed to tilt around me. This wasn't just theft or a cruel prank. This was character assassination, premeditated destruction. Why are you telling me this? I whispered, because I overheard something else. Something about your job, about emails they sent from your account. My blood turned to ice. My job, the editorial position I'd worked years to secure. What emails? I don't know details, but they mentioned your boss's name, and they were laughing about how you'd never work in publishing again. The rage inside me crystallized into something harder, colder, more focused. Can you meet me? I asked. Tomorrow, Cafe Miro at 10 a.m. As I hung up, I opened my laptop again. This wasn't just about getting even anymore. This was about survival. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, memories ambushed me, moments I'd once treasured that now felt poisoned. Cecilia hugging me after my promotion, whispering, "You deserve this more than anyone." Paisley crying on my shoulder when her boyfriend cheated, promising, "You're the only one I trust." Morgan and I dancing in my kitchen at 2 a.m. after too much wine. Krista helping me pick out my interview outfit, insisting, "This is the one that says editor material." Had it all been fake? I scrolled through years of photos on my phone, studying their faces for signs I'd missed. The trip to Miami last year, my birthday dinner 3 months ago, the weekly brunches. When had they decided I was disposable? By morning, my eyes burned and my head throbbed. I dressed carefully in the only decent outfit I'd packed, black jeans and a blue blouse, and headed to Cafe Miro to meet Jackson. The cafe sat on a corner with outdoor tables spilling onto a sun-dappled sidewalk. I spotted him immediately, tall with dark curly hair, wearing the hotel's distinctive navy blazer. He stood when he saw me, his expression somber. "Lucia, I'm Jackson." I slid into the chair across from him, hands wrapped around my bag like a shield. "Thank you for meeting me, for warning me." He nodded, sliding a coffee toward me. "I ordered for you. Hope that's okay." I took a sip, grateful for the caffeine. "Why are you helping me? You could lose your job." Jackson's eyes, deep brown with flecks of amber, met mine. My sister went through something similar in university, a group of friends who turned on her. Nobody believed her until it was too late. He shrugged. "I guess I'm trying to balance some cosmic scale." "What exactly did you hear them say about me?" He leaned forward. "They were in the hotel bar last night, drinking expensive champagne. The one with the red hair? Cecilia." "Yes. She was showing the others something on her phone. Emails, I think. She said, Lucia's boss will fire her before she even gets back. No publishing house will touch her after this." My stomach clenched. "Did you see what was in the emails?" "No, but they mentioned someone named Spencer. Said he was helping them." Spencer. The name hit me like a physical blow. "Spencer Bennett?" Jackson nodded. "You know him?" I stared into my coffee, memories shifting into horrifying new patterns. Spencer, the charming literary agent I'd met at a publishing conference 3 months ago, who'd asked me out for drinks, who'd seemed so interested in my career, my friends, my life, who'd disappeared after our 3rd date, right around the time Cecilia started planning this trip. "He works with my publishing house," I said quietly. "We went out a few times. He had access to my work email once when he borrowed my phone." Jackson's expression darkened. "There's more. The blonde one. Paisley. She seemed uncomfortable, said something like, 'This is going too far.' The redhead shut her down immediately. Said, 'After what Lucia did to me, she deserves worse.'" I froze. What I did to her, I haven't done anything to Cecilia. That's what the quiet one said too. Morgan. She asked what you'd done that was so terrible. The redhead just said, "You don't know everything about our sweet Lucia." My mind raced. Cecilia and I had been friends for 8 years without major conflict. What could she possibly think I'd done? "I need to see those emails," I said, "and I need to know what they're planning next." Jackson hesitated. "I work the evening shift at the hotel bar. I could keep an eye on them, maybe get more information." "Why would you risk that for me? You don't know me." His eyes softened. "Let's just say I recognize the look of someone who's been blindsided by people they trusted." Back at the hostel, I opened my laptop with shaking hands and logged into my work email. Nothing seemed amiss at first glance. No angry messages from my boss, no suspicious sent items. Then I checked the trash folder. My blood ran cold. 3 emails sent from my account to senior editors at rival publishing houses, offering confidential manuscripts from our upcoming catalog. Emails to my boss complaining about his leadership and threatening to quit. Worst of all, an email to our biggest author, criticizing her latest draft in cruel, unprofessional terms. All sent while I was on the plane to Barcelona. All deleted afterward. I called my boss immediately, my voice shaking as I explained about the hacked account, the fraudulent emails. "Lucia," he cut me off, his voice ice cold. "I've already heard from 3 publishing houses and Caroline Wright herself. Whatever game you're playing, it's over. We'll discuss your termination when you return." The line went dead. I sat frozen, staring at the wall. My career, the thing I'd worked towards since college, destroyed in a day. My phone pinged with a text from Jackson. "They're planning something for tonight. Overheard them talking about La Rambla at 9 p.m. Something about making sure you show up." I texted back. How would they make sure I show up somewhere? His response came seconds later. "They mentioned posting something that would force you to come find them." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with an Instagram notification. A new post from Krista. My fingers trembled as I opened it. A photo of my passport laid out on a hotel bed. The caption, "Found this in our room. Poor Lucia must be panicking without it. If you're reading this, honey, come to La Boqueria at 9 p.m. We'll be waiting with your ticket home." Good friends, jar helping out. I hadn't even realized my passport was missing. Paisley must have taken it when she disappeared at the airport. Without it, I couldn't fly home, couldn't escape whatever trap they were setting. I stared at the photo, a cold clarity washing over me. They thought they had all the power, that I would come running, desperate and afraid. They didn't know that desperate people are dangerous, and they had no idea what I was capable of. La Boqueria market pulsed with life even as evening approached. Vendors called out final discounts, tourists haggled over souvenirs, and locals navigated the chaos with practiced ease. I blended in among them, baseball cap pulled low, sunglasses hiding my red-rimmed eyes. I'd arrived an hour early to scout the location. No way was I walking blindly into whatever Cecilia had planned. From my vantage point at a small tapas bar at the market's edge, I could monitor the main entrance while remaining hidden. I sipped a glass of wine I couldn't taste, my nerves electric with anticipation. My phone buzzed. Jackson. "I'm at the north entrance. No sign of them yet." After our coffee meeting, Jackson had offered to help me tonight. I'd hesitated. Involving a stranger in my mess felt wrong, but I needed eyes in places I couldn't be. "Thanks," I texted back. "Remember, don't approach them. Just let me know when they arrive and where they position themselves." I'd spent the afternoon preparing. First, filing a police report about my stolen passport, a paper trail that might prove useful later. Then researching Spanish privacy laws after discovering Krista's post with my passport had been shared hundreds of times. Finally, calling the American embassy to report the theft and arrange an emergency replacement. The embassy appointment wasn't until tomorrow morning, which meant tonight I needed to get my passport back without falling into whatever trap they'd set. My phone buzzed again. Jackson. "They're here, all 4 of them. Plus a man I don't recognize. Tall, blonde, expensive watch. Spencer." My stomach twisted. "Where are they setting up?" I texted. "Central Fountain. The blonde one is holding your passport, visible in her hand." Paisley. Of course they'd give her that job. The weakest link. "Any sign they've spotted you?" "No, I'm just another tourist taking photos." I took a deep breath and texted him my plan. It was risky, but it was the best I could come up with on short notice. At 8:55 p.m., I moved to my position near a crowded churro stand, 20 meters from the fountain. From here, I could see them, but remained partially obscured by the line of customers. They stood in a loose circle around the fountain, Cecilia in a striking red dress that made her look like she was attending a cocktail party rather than meeting in a market. Morgan and Krista flanking her like bodyguards, Paisley slightly apart, my passport clutched in her manicured hand, and Spencer, his arm casually draped around Cecilia's waist. The sight of them together confirmed my suspicions. This wasn't just about a free vacation. This was personal. At exactly 9 p.m., Jackson approached them, playing his role perfectly. A concerned hotel employee who recognized them from the Marisol. "Excuse me," I heard him say as I inched closer, still hidden by the churro line. "Are you guests from Hotel Marisol? There's been an incident with your room charges." Cecilia's smile faltered. "What kind of incident?" "The credit card on file has been reported stolen. The police are at the hotel taking statements. They asked me to locate you." Cecilia's face hardened. "That's ridiculous. We have authorization to use that card." Spencer stepped forward, all smooth confidence. "There must be some mistake. I'm sure we can clear this up." Jackson shook his head. The cardholder filed a formal police report. Something about identity theft and unauthorized charges. They're quite serious. I watched Cecilia's composure crack slightly. Good. Let her feel a fraction of the panic I'd felt. "This is absurd," she snapped. "Lucia gave us permission to use her card." "The police mentioned something about emails, too," Jackson continued. "Corporate espionage? They're seizing the hotel computers for evidence." Spencer's arm dropped from Cecilia's waist. "What exactly did the police say?" As they focused on Jackson, I made my move. Slipping through the crowd, I approached from behind Paisley, who stood slightly apart from the others, looking increasingly uncomfortable. I tapped her shoulder. She turned, her eyes widening in shock. "Lucia!" Before she could alert the others, I spoke quietly but firmly. "Give me my passport, Paisley." Her hand tightened around it. "I can't." Cecilia said what? That I deserved this? What exactly did I do to her, Paisley? What could possibly justify stealing thousands of dollars from me and destroying my career? Confusion flickered across her face. "You know what you did. The thing with her father's company." I stared at her, genuinely baffled. "What are you talking about?" Paisley's certainty wavered. "The investment deal. You sabotaged it. Cost her father millions." "I've never had anything to do with her father's business. I don't even know what he does." Doubt crept into her eyes. "But Cecilia showed us the emails. From your account to her father's competitor." The pieces clicked together. More forged emails. More lies. "Paisley, my account was hacked. Probably by Spencer. Think about it. When did he start hanging around our group? Right after he and I went out, right before this trip was planned." Her eyes darted to Spencer, then back to me. "But why would he—" "I don't know yet. But I do know I never sent any emails about Cecilia's father, just like I never sent the ones that got me fired yesterday." Shock registered on her face. "Fired? Lucia, I didn't know." "My passport, Paisley. Now." She hesitated, then pressed it into my hand. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't know it would go this far." As my fingers closed around the passport, Cecilia's voice cut through the market noise. "Lucia, how predictable." I turned to face her, tucking my passport securely into my jacket. The others had noticed me now. Jackson stood to the side, his role complete. Cecilia's smile was all teeth. "Come to beg for forgiveness?" "No," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "I came to understand why, but I think I'm starting to see the picture." Spencer stepped forward, his handsome face unreadable. "Lucia, always the victim, aren't you?" Interesting choice of words from the man who hacked my email. I turned to Cecilia. "Whatever he told you I did to your father's company, it wasn't me." A flicker of uncertainty crossed her face before hardening again. "Don't play innocent. We saw the emails." "Emails can be faked. Just ask my former boss." Spencer laughed, but I caught the tension in it. "You're really going with 'I was hacked'? How original." I met his gaze directly. "What's your stake in this, Spencer? What do you get out of destroying my life?" Before he could answer, a market security guard approached, drawn by our increasingly heated exchange. "Is there a problem here?" he asked in accented English. "No problem," Spencer said smoothly. "Just friends catching up." I looked at each of their faces. Cecilia's cold anger, Morgan's confusion, Krista's discomfort, Paisley's guilt, and Spencer's calculating calm. "No," I said finally. "No problem at all. We're finished here." As I walked away, passport secure in my pocket, I heard Paisley call after me. Lucia, wait. I didn't turn around. I'd gotten what I came for, and more importantly, I'd planted the first seed of doubt. The game had changed. Now I needed to find out what Spencer was really after, and why he'd chosen me as his target. "You're sure it was her father's company?" I asked Jackson as we walked along the darkened beachfront, waves crashing rhythmically against the shore. After the market confrontation, we'd retreated to regroup, the night air cooling my flushed skin. "Positive. Cecilia mentioned her father would destroy you once he confirmed you were behind the emails." Jackson kicked at the sand. "Something about insider trading allegations?" I stopped walking. "Wait, her father, is he Richard Harmon, of Harmon Investments?" Jackson shrugged. She didn't say his name. My mind raced. Richard Harmon. I'd edited a business memoir that had mentioned him. A ruthless investor known for destroying companies he targeted. And his daughter was Cecilia. How had I never made that connection? "Cecilia never talks about her family," I murmured. "She told us her parents were academics." "Well, she's definitely not hurting for money. The room service bills alone." I pulled out my phone and searched for Richard Harmon. His company photo appeared, silver-haired, steel-eyed, with Cecilia's distinctive jawline. Recent news articles mentioned a failed hostile takeover of a publishing group. My publishing group. "Oh my God," I whispered. "It's not about me at all." Jackson leaned closer to see my screen. "What do you mean?" 3 months ago, Harmon Investments tried to acquire North Star Publishing, where I work. The deal fell through when our CEO found another investor. I looked up at Jackson. A week later, Spencer asked me out for drinks. Understanding dawned on his face. He was using you to get information about your company. And when that didn't work, they fabricated emails from my account to damage North Star's reputation. The pieces were falling into place with sickening clarity. I was just collateral damage. We walked in silence for a moment, the implications settling heavily between us. "What will you do now?" Jackson finally asked. "I need proof. Something that connects Spencer to the hacked emails." I sighed. "But how? It's not like I can hack into his phone." Jackson's expression shifted. "Maybe you can't, but I might know someone who can." The next morning, I sat in a tiny office above a computer repair shop in the Gothic Quarter. Jackson's friend Marta, a cybersecurity specialist with questionable ethics, typed furiously at her keyboard while explaining the plan. "The hotel's Wi-Fi system is basic. If Spencer logs in, I can create a mirror site that looks like his email provider." Her fingers flew across the keys. "When he enters his password, we capture it. Is that legal?" I asked. Marta and Jackson exchanged glances. "Let's call it a gray area," she said, "especially since you're trying to prove he committed a crime against you." I nodded, pushing down my discomfort. A week ago, I would never have considered anything like this. But a week ago, I still had friends I trusted and a career I loved. How long will it take? If he uses the hotel Wi-Fi, minutes after he logs in. Marta handed me a small device. "This needs to be within 20 meters of the hotel's main router. Jackson says he can plant it during his shift." Jackson nodded. "The router's near the front desk. I can manage it." I looked between them, overwhelmed by their willingness to help. "Why are you doing this? Both of you?" Marta shrugged. "Jackson helped me when I first moved here. Said I owed him one." She smiled slightly. "Besides, I hate entitled rich kids who think they can ruin someone's life for daddy's business deal." 3 hours later, I paced my hostel room, waiting for news. My embassy appointment had gone smoothly. Emergency passport in process, ready tomorrow. One problem solved, 100 more to go. My phone buzzed with a text from Jackson. "It worked. Marta has access. Come now." I rushed back to Marta's office, heart pounding. She greeted me with a triumphant smile. "Got him. His email is full of communications with Cecilia about you." She turned her screen toward me. "Look at this one from 3 months ago." The email showed Spencer outlining a plan to get close to the North Star editor to extract information about the Westbrook deal. "Keep scrolling," Marta said. More emails appeared. Spencer reporting back to Cecilia about our dates. His frustration when I didn't reveal anything useful about work. Then the smoking gun. detailed instructions from Spencer to Cecilia about how to access my email using credentials he'd stolen from my phone. "There's your proof," Marta said quietly. I stared at the screen, a strange hollowness expanding in my chest. Seeing it laid out so clinically, how they'd targeted me, used me, discarded me, made it somehow more brutal than I'd imagined. Can you forward these to me?" My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Marta nodded, typing quickly. "Done. I've also taken screenshots in case he realizes and deletes them." I thanked her, feeling numb. Outside, Jackson waited, concern etched on his face. "You okay?" I wasn't. Not remotely. But I nodded anyway. "What now?" he asked as we walked through narrow streets bathed in late afternoon light. "Now I make them face what they've done." Jackson grabbed my arm, stopping me. "Lucia, think carefully. These people destroyed your career without blinking. What else might they do if cornered?" "What choice do I have? Let them get away with it? Go home jobless and humiliated while they laugh about how they ruined me? There are other options. You could send the evidence to the police, to your company." I pulled away. "That's not enough. I want them to look me in the eye. I want them to admit what they did. Even if it puts you in danger, I'm already in danger. My life is already in pieces." My voice echoed off the ancient stone buildings. A passing couple stared, then hurried away. Jackson didn't flinch from my outburst. "Then at least don't do it alone." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a notification. An Instagram message from Paisley. "We need to talk, alone. Meet me at Park Güell in an hour. I know the truth about Spencer." I showed Jackson the message. "It's a trap," he said immediately. "Maybe." I stared at the screen. Or maybe she's having second thoughts. "Lucia, I have to go." I met his worried gaze. "But you're right. I shouldn't go alone." Relief softened his features. "I'll be there, at a distance." As we parted to prepare, I felt something shift inside me. A hardening resolve, yes, but something else too. A recognition that in losing old connections, I'd somehow formed new ones. Ones based not on years of shared history, but on something perhaps more valuable. The simple choice to stand beside someone when they needed it most. Park Güell sprawled across the hillside, Gaudi's fantastical architecture catching the golden light of late afternoon. Tourists clustered around the famous mosaic salamander and colorful terraces, but I headed for the less crowded Palm Tree Avenue where Paisley had specified we meet. Jackson and I had arrived separately. He positioned himself at a cafe with clear sightlines to my meeting spot, pretending to read a guidebook while keeping watch. We'd agreed on a signal. If I touched my hair twice, he'd intervene. I spotted Paisley before she saw me. She sat alone on a bench, fidgeting with her bracelets, a nervous habit I recognized from our college days. She wore oversized sunglasses despite the fading light and kept glancing around anxiously. "Paisley," she startled, then stood quickly. "Lucia, you came. You said you knew the truth about Spencer." She glanced around nervously. "Not here. Let's walk." I hesitated, scanning the area for any sign of the others. Nothing obvious. I nodded and fell into step beside her as we moved toward a more secluded path lined with stone arches. "They don't know I'm here," she said quietly. "Cecilia would kill me if she knew." "Why risk it then?" Paisley stopped walking, removing her sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed. "Because this has gone too far. What they did to your job, I didn't know about that part until you told me." "What did you think was happening, Paisley? That we were just playing a harmless prank on me?" She flinched. "Cecilia said you'd betrayed her family, that you deserved it." She looked down. I believed her because, well, she's Cecilia. She's always been our leader. The pathetic truth of that statement hung between us. How easily we'd all fallen into orbit around Cecilia's charisma, accepting her version of reality without question. "What changed your mind?" I asked. "Last night, after you left, I heard Spencer and Cecilia arguing in their room. The walls are thin." She took a deep breath. "Spencer was angry that you'd gotten your passport back. He said something about the deal being compromised, and how her father would blame him if they couldn't deliver what they promised." I tensed. What exactly did they promise? "I don't know specifics, But Spencer mentioned something about needing access to your work accounts for longer than they'd had, that the emails they sent weren't enough. Cold dread settled in my stomach. They're not done. No. And Lucia. She hesitated. They mentioned Morgan's boyfriend. David? What about him? He works in your company's IT department, right? The realization hit me like a physical blow. They're going to use him to access the system directly. Paisley nodded miserably. I think that was always the plan. The vacation, the emails from your account. It was just to discredit you when the real attack happened. I turned away, struggling to process this new information. David had access to North Star's entire network. With his credentials, they could plant false financial reports, leak confidential manuscripts, sabotage upcoming releases, anything to tank the company's value and make it vulnerable to Harmon's next takeover attempt. Why are you telling me this now? I asked, turning back to her. Tears welled in her eyes. Because I helped them hurt you, and you don't deserve it. Because I was too weak to stand up to Cecilia before. She wiped her cheeks. And because they're planning something tonight. Something final. What? What are they planning? I don't know details, but Spencer made a call this morning about closing the loop tonight. Something about making sure you couldn't interfere. A chill ran through me. Are they going to try to hurt me? I don't think so. Not physically. But Spencer said something about making sure you were contained until they were back in the States. She reached for my hand. Lucia, you need to leave Barcelona. Today. I pulled away from her. So that's your solution? I run away while they destroy my company and my reputation? It's not safe for you here. It wasn't safe the moment they decided to use me as a pawn in their corporate game. My voice hardened. Does Morgan know about using David? Paisley looked away. She knows. She's the one who suggested it. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. Morgan, the friend I'd thought had the strongest moral compass. And Krista? She's just following Cecilia, like always. Paisley's voice dropped. Like I was. Was, I repeated. Past tense. She nodded, a fragile determination in her eyes. I can't do this anymore. I want to help you stop them. I studied her face, looking for signs of deception. How do I know this isn't another trap? That you're not recording this conversation for them right now? Without hesitation, she handed me her phone. Check it. I'm not recording anything. I'm not wearing a wire. This is real, Lucia. I took the phone, verified it wasn't recording, and handed it back. If you want to help me, I need something concrete. Proof I can use. I have access to their hotel room. I could... No, I cut her off. Too risky. But there is something you can do. I outlined my plan quickly, watching her expression shift from uncertainty to nervous resolve. I can do that, she said finally. Tonight? Tonight, I confirmed, before they make their move. As we finalized details, my phone buzzed with an urgent text from Jackson. Behind you, red shirt. I turned casually, spotting a man in a red polo shirt taking photos in our direction. Not a tourist. His camera was aimed directly at us. We need to go, I said, grabbing Paisley's arm. Someone's watching. Her face paled. Spencer has friends here, people he's paying to track you. We hurried toward the park exit, taking a winding path through stone columns. I texted Jackson our route as we moved. If they know we've talked, they'll suspect me, Paisley whispered, panic edging her voice. Then make it look good, I said, stopping suddenly. Slap me. What? If anyone's watching, make it look like we argued, like you're still on their side. Understanding dawned in her eyes. She raised her hand and slapped me, not hard enough to hurt, but convincing enough for distant observers. Then she stormed off, playing her part perfectly. I touched my cheek, watching her go. The sensation lingered as Jackson appeared at my side. You okay? He asked. No, I said quietly. But I will be. Tonight, this ends. I turned to him, my decision made. I need your help with one more thing. Something dangerous. His eyes met mine, steady and certain. I'm in. As we left the park, I felt the weight of what was coming. By morning, I'd either have reclaimed my life or lost everything that remained of it. Either way, there would be no going back. Night fell over Barcelona, the city transforming into a glittering landscape of lights. From the rooftop bar of Hotel Marisol, I could see the illuminated spires of Sagrada Familia in the distance. Under different circumstances, the view would have been breathtaking. Tonight, it was just the backdrop for what I'd come to do. I adjusted the collar of the borrowed hotel uniform Jackson had procured for me, a server's outfit that let me blend with staff. My hair was pulled back severely, face partially obscured by the cap's brim. Not a perfect disguise, but enough to move through the hotel unnoticed. "They've been at the bar for 20 minutes, Jackson murmured, passing by with a tray of empty glasses. "Spencer's been on his phone most of the time." I nodded slightly, continuing to wipe down an already clean table. From my position, I could observe without being obvious. All four of them sat at a corner table. Cecilia laughing too loudly, Morgan checking her watch repeatedly, Krista scrolling through her phone, and Spencer leaning in to speak privately with Cecilia. No sign of Paisley. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from Marta. "In position. Elevator security cameras looping previous footage. You have 15 minutes. It was time. I slipped away from the rooftop bar, heart hammering as I took the service elevator down to the guest floors. The hallway was empty when I emerged. Room 718, Spencer and Cecilia's suite, waited at the end of the corridor. Paisley had left the door very slightly ajar, as promised. I pushed it open, scanning the luxurious suite quickly before entering and closing the door behind me. "Paisley," I whispered. She emerged from the bathroom, face pale with tension. "I thought you'd changed your mind. Did you find it?" She nodded, pointing to Spencer's laptop on the desk. "It's unlocked. He stepped away to take a call, and I managed to keep it from going to sleep." I moved to the computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. Spencer's email was open, the same account Marta had accessed earlier. I quickly forwarded key incriminating emails to myself, then to my boss, the company's legal department, and the board of directors. "What about the other thing?" I asked. Paisley handed me a phone. Spencer's. "I got his passcode yesterday when he was drunk. 6842. I unlocked it, finding his text messages with Cecilia. There it was. Explicit discussions about using me to get information about North Star Publishing, plans to discredit me, coordination with Morgan about using David's IT access. "Send these to yourself," I told Paisley. "Insurance in case something happens to me." As she did this, I noticed a calendar notification on Spencer's phone. 11 p.m., L containment. My blood ran cold. They're planning something for 11. Paisley looked at her watch. That's in 20 minutes. I photographed everything I could, working quickly. Then I found what I was really looking for, Spencer's contacts. I scrolled until I found the name I needed, then pressed call. It rang 3 times before a gruff voice answered. "Bennett, this better be important." "Mr. Harmon," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "This isn't Spencer. My name is Lucia Reyes." A pause. "The editor." "Yes, the one your daughter and Spencer framed for corporate espionage." Another pause, longer this time. "What do you want?" "5 minutes of your time, to show you how they've been conducting your business." I could hear him breathing, considering. "Where?" "Hotel Marisol, rooftop bar. I'm here now, so are they." He hung up without answering. I handed the phone back to Paisley. "Put it back exactly where you found it, then get out of here." She hesitated. "What are you going to do?" "End this, once and for all." As Paisley slipped out, I took one final look around the room. On the nightstand sat a framed photo I hadn't noticed before. Cecilia as a child with her father, both smiling. A reminder that even people who do terrible things are still human, with histories and connections I knew nothing about. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I going too far? Becoming what I hated? I pushed the thought away. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, not just for me, but for everyone they'd hurt in their games of power. Back on the rooftop, I resumed my role as server, circulating near their table. Their conversation drifted toward me in fragments. "Flight confirmed for tomorrow. David says he can access the server tonight. She won't be a problem after—" Spencer checked his watch. "Almost time? Everything in place?" Cecilia nodded, sipping her champagne. "Hotel security will find her in the storage room, apparently with stolen property from guest rooms. Very embarrassing." My stomach dropped. They were planning to frame me for theft, to have me arrested in a foreign country. Before I could process this, The rooftop bar fell suddenly quiet. I turned to see Richard Harmon striding through the entrance, his commanding presence parting the crowd like a physical force. Cecilia's champagne glass froze halfway to her lips. "Daddy, what are you doing here?" Richard's cold gaze swept over their table. "I received an interesting call. Thought I should see for myself what my money is funding these days." Spencer stood quickly, extending his hand. "Richard, good to see you. We were just discussing the North Star situation." Richard ignored the outstretched hand. "Were you? Because I heard you were discussing how to frame a woman for theft and have her arrested." The color drained from Cecilia's face. "Daddy, I can explain." "I'm sure you can. You've always been creative with explanations." His voice was ice. "But first, I want to meet the woman you've been systematically destroying." I stepped forward, removing my server's cap. "That would be me." Gasps erupted from the table. Morgan half rose, then sank back down. Krista's mouth fell open. Spencer's face hardened into a mask. Cecilia recovered first, her shock transforming into fury. "You, how dare you contact my father? How dare I?" My voice rose, years of being the peacekeeper, the reasonable one, falling away. "How dare you destroy my career, steal thousands from me, plan to have me arrested, all for what? So Daddy could buy another company?" Richard's expression remained impassive. "Miss Reyes, I believe you mentioned evidence." I pulled out my phone, hands steady now. "Emails, texts, recorded conversations, everything showing how your daughter and her boyfriend targeted me specifically to help with your hostile takeover of North Star Publishing." Spencer lunged for my phone. "She's lying. She hacked my accounts." Jackson appeared beside me, placing himself between Spencer and me. "Security footage says otherwise." Richard held out his hand. "Show me." As I handed him my phone, Cecilia stood, desperation in her eyes. "Daddy, you don't understand. She betrayed us first. She—" "Enough." Richard's voice cut through the air like a blade. "I've seen enough." He scrolled through the evidence, his expression darkening with each swipe. When he looked up, his eyes were cold with fury, not directed at me, but at his daughter and Spencer. "You used my name, my company, to conduct this amateur psychological warfare, to frame an innocent woman, to commit actual crimes." Spencer stepped forward. "Richard, we were just trying to help secure the deal. By committing fraud, corporate espionage, theft?" Richard's voice remained controlled, which somehow made it more terrifying. "Do you have any idea of the legal exposure you've created, for yourselves and for my company?" The rooftop had gone silent, other patrons pretending not to watch the drama unfolding. Richard turned to me. "Ms. Reyes, I owe you an apology, and compensation for your damages." He handed back my phone. "Name your price." Before I could answer, Cecilia's composure shattered completely. "You're taking her side? After everything I've done to help you? I did this for you." "No," Richard said quietly. "You did this for yourself, as always." In that moment, watching Cecilia's world collapse, I felt no satisfaction, only a profound sadness for the wreckage of what I'd once thought were real friendships. I looked at each of them in turn, these people I'd trusted, loved, shared my life with, and realized the truth that had been there all along. Some betrayals can never be undone, and some victories feel hollow, even when they're necessary.